Welcome back, everybody. We hope that you enjoyed the display tables out there, especially all of the materials that our upcoming poets for nature, Echoes in Community brought with them, and also our display table with all of our nature items. So we now want to begin Echoes in Community, which is a really special way. One of the things that Jess and I most wanted to do was to make Echoes of Nature a broader experience and to be able to hear the work of poets who write on similar themes and who have beautiful, inspiring, powerful words to share. And so this evening, we'll be hearing from Carolyn Cushing, who is one of the former Easthampton Poet Laureates. We'll be hearing from Isabella Gitana, Jupong Lin, Kathryn Good-Schiff, and the current Easthampton Poet Laureate, Carolyn Zaikowski. So please, you're in for another amazing, almost hour. And first up, we're going to bring... Carolyn Cushing will be up. Carolyn Cushing is an activist and poet inspired by nature and focused on the places where life and death meet. She served as the Poet Laureate of Easthampton, Massachusetts from 2023 to 2025. As Poet Laureate, Carolyn explored the power of poetry and brought poetry to unexpected places like Big E's supermarket, and even to city council meetings. You can find her online at soulpathsanctuary.com/poetry. And on her website, Carolyn says that she is particularly proud when her poems are shared in ways that speak to collective needs of the moment. And this makes us particularly proud that she's sharing her work with us here tonight. So welcome, Carolyn.
Thank you so much, Kim and Jess, for this beautiful program, multimedia participatory program. I've been reading a lot of Muriel Rukeyser, who's a poet who wrote through the 30s, through the 70s, very political, and she has the life of poetry and why poetry. And I have this wonderful line, and I was thinking about it related to Kim and Jess, and it says, "Writing is only another way of giving, a courtesy, if you will, and a form of love." And I'm really feeling that this whole event is a form of love, and I'm lucky to be here. To align with Kim and Jess's journey theme, hiking theme, the poems I'm reading tonight are inspired by walking around Easthampton, a series I started in 2023. I'm going to read this first poem 2 times. The first time, just let the words wash over you. Maybe an image captures your attention. Maybe you like a word. Don't worry about meaning. Words on the street, early February. Pin oak leaves right the day awake, and there is ice on the pond. A surprise that should not be a surprise in February, the ice month. But winter rain took the cold, left everything exposed. So today's wind and bite surprise, and the waters are finally covered so the dark can keep sleeping. And the young birch rests where it fell, the place of its birth, its sap drying. Cars line up at the drive-thru, idling away the liquid bones of dinosaurs. In a passenger seat, the woman presses long fingers over her eyes. Is it despair, or instead memory of a mother at Sabbath prayer, renewing the world for another week? We are stars, laid here, leavened by earth. So this series began after I was reading Joy Harjo, a former poet, National Poet Laureate, and her lecture that she gave on writing and how it comes out of her native tradition. She's Muskogee. And these words captured my attention. These lands aren't my lands. These lands aren't your lands. We are the land. So I wondered what would happen if I looked and listened to my land just as I walked outside my doorway. And so this poem and many others are just set in my neighborhood, walking by the library, the Williston Field, passing the Door Factory, weaving through the Brookside Cemetery, going through Nonotuck Park, and yes, coming back into town, walking by the Dunkin' Donuts drive-thru. It's all part of the land. Here's the poem again. Words on the street, early February. Pin oaks leaves write the day awake, and there is ice on the pond. A surprise that should not be a surprise in February, the ice month. But winter rain took the cold, left everything exposed. So today's wind and bite surprise, and the waters are finally covered, so the dark can keep sleeping. And the young birch rests where it fell, the place of its birth, its sap drying. Cars line up at the drive-thru, idling away the liquid bones of dinosaurs. In a passenger seat, the woman presses long fingers over her eyes. Is it despair, or instead, memory of a mother at Sabbath prayer, renewing the world for another week? We are stars, laid here, leavened by earth. Even though I was writing in the series about what was most local to me, the global was present. I started this series in 2023 when we were beset by both fire and flood. And the Canadian forest fire smoke came down, the Connecticut River flooded. You already may have heard a little bit about climate change in the first poem. And it's apparent as well in this poem. A walk through smoke and rain. On the bridge, I paused to watch the mallard couple cut V's in the pond below the haze. A heron flies silent and so close my breath could touch its ancient breast. The rabbit, though I'm nowhere near, still dashes low for cover. Chains twist and clank in the school bus undercarriage. Sweet locust flowers, nearly all fallen. Pink-white ghosts dance down on exposed roots. I pluck remaining petals, place them between my teeth and chew. Wonder if below the sweet I am eating ash. The cemetery's trailer truck passes by with cement liners, so our dead bodies will never touch the soil. Two pileated woodpeckers land in the dead tower of a tree, dig deep into the shattered wood to break their latest fast. The sky was spitting when I left my house. As I return, rain comes with me, but when I raise my palm to what's beyond the clouds, I still can feel the heat. Fall brought new war to add to the ravages of climate change, and I ruminated on this as I walked by Ward and Garfield streets over to the cemetery. And this next poem was written on October 24th, 2023, so 17 days after October 7th, as U.S. bombs were dropped by Israeli military on women and men and children of Gaza. Late fall blooms, 2023. I take my horror for a walk. Lilac blooms, strange explosions of pale purple over the peeling shingles. This is not a miracle, instead a sign of stress. Uncalmed, this horror becomes an excited dog, a small spaniel, throwing itself beyond the end of its leash so the collar cuts off air. The trees along the street are deep fire, and I don't know what to do with all this beauty. I walk by an abandoned bike on its side with rusted chains and pink detailing. Where is the small rider? How many small riders will lose their bikes today? What else will these small riders whose name I do not know lose? Or who? The bike rests on a bald tire, the rim filled up with water. At the end of the street, a maple, a slow turner, not fiery, but dirty yellow, mottled with the red of dried blood raised into the now bluing skies. And this next poem is a bit of a beauty rest and a nod to Kim and I working together at Arcadia Wildlife Sanctuary, because this is its setting. And it is titled Arcadia Morning. Sometimes there are stars in the ice next to the tracks of an unknown creature. But I know rabbit whose legs leave deep divots in the snow. Green shadows of fallen pine needles make a path for me. Skirted trees attend the river's curve where ice flats give way to flow. Chickadees and waxwings cling to bark while a black duck arrows itself along the water's flyway. Winter has only a loose hold on us now. Eagles' wings fill the sky and circle. Ghost tree stands with an exploded crown, 11 arms extended. Once this was solid wood, but today the bark is stripped and the pattern of surging lines and vortices make a river reaching for the sky. I walk on until I stand over flowing water. The world shatters and rivers run away, but you know where to find them, how to ride them in the dark. I like the dark. The dark is a place where the new is gestated. But the dark is also scary. This is a poem this is my final poem, but I'm going to read it 2 times. Once again, that first time, just let it wash over you. You can remember the setting is Easthampton, maybe see if you know some of the images. I'll say a little bit about it afterwards. Monsters, from the Latin monstrum, meaning omen. The mast arrived early when the light is faint, snap the wrists of men in work t-shirts, push them into cars, unmarked, heading toward the unknown. Haze, grays, stars, and stripes hung over the pond. The small ash of burnt trees fills our throats with their ghosts. 2 blocks away, I sleep poorly, am chased by monsters, not mythic, just men, some women too, in their masks, some hope in that there's shame behind the hiding and fear, at least a little. Heron hunts the neon green pond, can't read the sign that says it's a beautiful poison. But I'm a monster too, and my neighbors, our eyes bloated, from sobs ground into the streets we run, our mouths limbed with little needles clacking over our phones, securing ice onto camouflage vests stretched across their chests. The edge of the moon, so beautifully rounded in smoke, even the night is on fire. Applause pits windows as spectators cheer this monster or that. See the game, not the warning. They go to bed, forget they are the greater number. And with monsters in the street, more things are possible than usual. When they place a veil over the clock tower, time becomes a black circle. We no longer see its hands. So yes, this poem is about ICE being in our community, July 7th, and abducting 2 of our neighbors. And it's about neighbors pushing back, creating a watch. This will not go unchallenged. They came during days when we were once again breathing the harsh air of forest fire smoke. And our clock tower, the church tower, is rather creepily veiled in black right now. It's all images that are there. I heard the phrase, more things are possible than usual, from the historian Timothy Schneider on a podcast this summer. And he's talking about the uncertainty of the times. and the possibilities can go toward destruction or renewal. Let's work for renewal, and with our poet words. And so my closing will be reading this poem one more time. Monsters, from the Latin monstrum, meaning omen. The masked arrive early when the light is faint, snap the wrists of men in work t-shirts, push them into cars, unmarked, heading toward the unknown. Haze, grays, stars, and stripes hung over the pond. The small ash of burnt trees fills our throats with their ghosts. 2 blocks away, I sleep poorly, am chased by monsters, not mythic, just men. Some women too, in their masks, some hope in that, their shame behind the hiding and fear, at least a little. Heron hunts the neon green pond, can't read the sign that says it's a beautiful poison. But I'm a monster too, and my neighbors, our eyes bloated from sobs, ground into the streets we run, our mouths limbed with little needles clacking over our phones, securing ice onto camouflage vests stretched over their chests. The edge of the moon, so beautifully rounded in smoke, even the night is on fire. Applause pits closed windows as spectators cheer this monster or that. See the game, not the warning. They go to bed, forget they are the greater number. And with monsters in the street, more things are possible than usual. When they place a veil over the clock tower, time becomes a black circle. We no longer see its hands. Thank you.
Let's hear it for Carolyn Cushing one more time. Thank you, Carolyn. And now it's my honor to introduce our next poet, Isabella Gitana. Isabella is a poet, artist, activist whose work explores survival, memory, and the sacred in everyday life. They facilitate survivor support groups at local colleges and is the founder of Survivor Arts Collective. And they have cards outside on the table that has their Substack on it. They recently completed their first full-length poetry manuscript, Body as Altar, poems that from the Book of Elements, which is not yet published but forthcoming, from Isabella's Substack of August 5th, 2025. They say, I've been writing about the ways grief teaches rhythm, the ways it makes you loosen your grip, not because you're ready, but because the tide insists. Please welcome Isa.
Hi, thank you so much. Oh, Carolyn, I love listening to you read your poetry, so thank you for that. The poems that I'm reading tonight are from my manuscript, Body as Altar, and they hold grief, nature, resilience, and the work of caretaking. And it's the ways that we carry, but also the ways that we are carried. So that's a lot of the themes in my poetry. This first poem is about what rises, even when we try to press it down. Grief, memory, even ashes. Of what cannot be buried for my father. I carried his ashes like I once carried his shadow, quietly, with no map for grief, except the one I drew on the back of receipts and glove compartments. Not in the urn they gave me, just the box still taped shut, still warm somehow in the way a father's silence stays warm when it's been held too long. He asked to be with her, but he didn't mean it. He meant peace. He meant not to be alone. He meant a kind of forgiveness neither of us could give her. I drive with him in the back seat, wedged between jumper cables and road salt, not because he belongs there, because I don't know where else a man can go when the only woman who knew his name also made him forget it. So I stall. Tell myself I'm waiting for the right moon, for cedar smoke, for the right words. But I'm waiting because I don't want him to be next to her ever again, even in death. Some nights I whisper to the box like a prayer with no return address. I say, you were better than she let you be. I say, you loved her more than she could hold. I say, I wish you soft mornings in your next life. I say, I'm sorry you died in a house you couldn't leave or clean. So I keep him in my car. Sometimes I talk to him in traffic. Sometimes I cry with the windows up and the AC blasting. He always hated the heat, but the fire got him anyway. They say this is closure, that it's time. But what do they know about the weight of an unburied father? Ash doesn't rot. It lingers. It clings. It waits. I know what it means to burn and not belong to anyone. So if the first poem was about what refuses to stay buried, this one is about absence, the dry seasons that we all live through when we're waiting for the rain that never comes, of rain that never came. There are kinds of silence that taste like rotting, like something sweet left too long in the sun. I learned to stop asking before I knew I was asking. Softness was a rumor, and I was always the last to hear it. My mother gave only what she couldn't hold. Love like a burn that wouldn't blister, never gentle, never cold, just always too much or never enough. There were lovers who said sorry like it was a blade, gleaming, deliberate, meant to draw something. I stayed longer with the ones who didn't dress it up. At least I knew what storm I was in. Longing lives low in the gut, behind the teeth, in the mouth left open, even when nothing is being offered. I kept calling it passion, but it was just hunger learning how to kneel. Somewhere along the way, I mistook that longing for love. But some nights, I sit with the window open and let the city hum me still. No hands, no voices, just the ache of something ending without me in it. Some nights, I wait for the hush that only ocean gives. That last breath of salt after the beach is empty and the moon forgets to rise. And in that stillness, I remember my mouth. I still ask, not like a plea, like a forecast. If it rains, I open my palms. And if it doesn't, I bloom anyway. And finally, from drought to water. This last poem is about tides, about release, and what we carry even as we learn to let go. Of tides and letting go. This is where grief teaches rhythm, where we loosen our grip not because we're ready, but because the tide insists and the water holds us anyway. Some days I carry myself like driftwood, splintered, salt heavy, unsure if I've been rescued or just washed up. Some wounds forget how to close. They erode slowly, silently, like shorelines no one bothers to map. I come from people who carried their homes in song, made altar from dust, read the wind like a story. My ancestors were rivers long before they were names. Letting go is not peace. It is not forgiveness. It is a hand unclenched only after the storm has passed and the wreckage confirms what you have believed all along. No one tells you the cost of belonging nowhere and everywhere all at once. That trauma makes a country of you, then leaves you borderless. You become the ocean's child, claimed by nothing, returned by everything. I do not forgive what drowned me, but I no longer pretend that it made me holy. Even the sea knows me, how I never settle, only circle back. Once I heard a child in the ocean say, "Don't hold me, just be there if I need you." I carry those words like a shell at the base of my throat. This is how I love now, how I want to be loved back. I want someone to sit at the edge of the sea and not ask me to come in or explain while I'm still standing in soaked clothes long after the clouds have disappeared. The water does not ask for forgiveness, only breath, only the remembering of what your body knows when it isn't braced for impact. Sometimes you tell the ocean you're not ready and float anyway. I am ocean. I am salt and undertow, the quiet rage of moon-pulled things. I belong to no shore. I answer to no name, but the one the water gives me. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Isa. That was beautiful and powerful. And I didn't think I was going to be able to get up here and talk after because I'm a little choked up. But next up, we would like to welcome Kathryn Good-Schiff. Kathryn was a finalist for the Robin Becker Chapbook Prize, and her poems have been published in the Montague Reporter, Naugatuck River Review, Pank, and elsewhere. She lives in Easthampton with her wife and their animals and works as an academic librarian. You can find her at KathrynGoodschiff.com. Kathryn's poetry chapbook, Love Letters to Ghosts, was published earlier this year by the Western Mass Press Meet for Tea. Kathryn will be doing a book launch poetry reading at the Easthampton Public Library Annex on Friday, September 12th at 6 p.m. And I can say I just bought Kat's book and read it, and it is amazing. So do not miss the book launch at the library next Friday. So welcome, Kathryn.
Hello. Hello. Thank you so much, Kim and Jess and my fellow poets and all of our listeners. It's really nice to be here. This is the best backdrop I think I've ever had while doing a reading. I like the cattail in particular. Very nice. Yeah, lovely composition. It's really cool to be a part of this evening. And I realized when I was trying to choose poems to read that I, too, love to go for hikes and find lots of nourishment and healing out in the woods. And similar places, but what I really tend to write about more nature-wise is in the backyard or the front yard or the garden, or more in my everyday settings. So that's what I have for you today. This first one is way back in time in a place far from here. In the land of coyotes and sage, I fell for a West Coast fisherman, moonlighting as a Santa Fe farmer. Together, we planted tiny seeds and heaved around sacks of grain for chickens. With joy, we sliced the necks of lettuce, layering their heads into boxes. Driving at night, our headlights animated sunflowers, barbed wire. Alone one morning up on the mesa, I found a single paintbrush flower. It said, "Do you know what you've gotten into? You don't belong here." By September, we had bloomed and withered. But I followed him, tried for a life on the coast he'd described as ripe with rain, ferns and blackberries everywhere, their leaves making the desert seem like a dream. We argued on the beach as the wind raged. The Douglas firs said, "What are you doing? You don't belong here." So I bought a bus ticket and headed east, trusting some flower or tree would tell me when I came to a suitable place. So lucky me, I found myself in Western Mass a long time ago. And so this next poem is set in Easthampton. It's in 3 parts. It doesn't tell a story, it's just images. The original title was just Summer Solstice, because that's when it's set. But I realized that wasn't conveying enough. And it's really about kind of enjoying beauty, being alone, but kind of that kind of wistfulness of I wish so-and-so was here with me, or I wish so-and-so could see this. So it's called Wish You Were Here. In the strawberry patch, under the mountain, on a dewy morning, just me and the slugs, getting in the last quart of sweetness before the rain. In the downtown mill pond, among the cattails, gliding a kayak past red-winged blackbirds, snapping turtles lurking somewhere below. In the front yard, by the silver maple, asking all my unanswered questions of the stars as the moon dips its ladle into the last house. And I meant to say I wore this shirt because it is a, what's it called? A chloroplast, which is the cells that plants use to photosynthesize. So this next one specifically is about plants in the garden, and it takes as the metaphor of the seasons, cycles of the year, kind of the cycles and seasons of a relationship. It's called Of You and Me. I was going to rid us of the bloomless plants. They were so lush, with purple petunias, pink verbena, until the drought. I thought they were finished, and it was enough. But you said no, said please. So I dripped water between thin stalks, around yellow leaves for weeks for you. Now there are new purple trumpets, pink fireworks, bursting out from twisted stems. The sun rises later, less cruel as it wanes. A hummingbird swoops in for nectar. And my last poem, this is in 5 parts. It's actually based on 5 works of art, but you don't need to know them. But 4 of them are actually from a beautiful earth-oriented tarot deck called the Gaian Tarot. And the 5th is from a different tarot deck. But it's uses nature imagery to talk about how kind of reality shifts when we lose someone really important to us, particularly a parent, maybe a mother, and, kind of how the future looks after something like that. So this is called We Begin at the End. 1. Yesterday, my mother took me to the forest. Surrounded by green, no recourse to sky, I followed an uneven path. When darkness fell, she stepped away. I can't teach you what I never learned. 2. The mind is not a hollow-boned bird that can fly all day until the sky turns red. It is a kite that needs your body for tether so it can swoop and soar. 3. Today, you must climb the mountain with your burden of stories. Now is not the time to walk alone in the forest. People at the summit are waiting for you. 4. The fish tasted like water. Now the river lives in me. When I die, I will be greeted by millions of tiny mouths. 5. If childbirth is wildfire, my womb is stone. How will the forest renew without me? My legacy, a bare granite mountain you can see for miles. Thank you.
I was waiting for this moment. As soon as I saw Kat walk in. Let's hear it for Kat. That was wonderful. Our next poet is Jupong Lin, and I have the intro right here. Jupong Lin is a Taiwan-born interdisciplinary artist, practice-led researcher, writer, educator, and activist working to shift climate colonialism through deep listening and culturally responsive contemplative arts. Her installations and community performances blend paper folding, poetics, story circle, and Qigong to activate personal and systemic transformation for earth justice and community resilience. And I was handed this piece of paper right before I came up here. As a decolonizing artist and ceremonial activist, Jupong is dedicated to reclaiming ancestral traditions and language liberation. Her workshops cultivate kinship between our beloved earth, land, human, and non-human beings. And I think she has some materials out on the table. Jupong's Peace Birds project is a community-engaged art action that integrates shared stories of grief and renewal amidst the anguish of the repeated erasure of the people, culture, history, land, and water in what is left of Palestine. Her first play, Phoenix in the Holy Land, contributes to global peace movements working to end ecocide and genocide. Jupong's poems have been published in several Writing the Land anthologies and academic essays published in Ecological and Social Healing, Multicultural Women's Voices and Contemplative Practices, and Acts of Resistance in Higher Education, Narratives Toward Wholeness. And I'll just add an aside, when we were doing our meetings with Jackson, he just smiled at her name. So please welcome Jupong.
Perfect height. I think we're the same height. Yeah, the books that I have out, I have also recently completed a manuscript, and then I rewrote it, and it's in the works. But the books that I have out there are part of the Writing the Land project, which I just really want to amplify. It's a wonderful project. Started by Lisa McLaughlin, and she matches poets with protected lands, land trusts. And so I've been kind of poet in residence for several land trusts in the area. I'm getting over a bad cold, so I hope I don't break out into a coughing fit. So this, the first poem I'd like to read is called In Search of Cedar. And it's one of the 3 poems that I wrote as the poet, writing the land poet for the Kestrel Land Trust food bank farm, which is such a great, wonderful, I think it's one of the only farms like that in the country. The food is grown exclusively for food banks. And this morning I actually did a workshop at the food bank farm. So it's kind of a wonderful way to end the day, to read the one poem that I didn't get to read this morning. She took my breath away, cedar who spread her epiphyte-draped arms in the misty Quinault rainforest, born thousands of years before colonizers broke the sacred pact that spurred the fires Natasha calls cedar's rage. She channels their threat, their cry, "We will take your breath away." Her call to make songs to cedar reminds me of the one that took my breath away, sends me in search of her cousin in lands haunted by Pakumtuk, Abenaki, Nipmuc, Nonotuck. Boots crack frozen crust of rain-soaked oak leaves, feet baptized in ice, chin up to darkening sky, eyes peering through hemlock and pine boughs. Where are you? She eludes me. I'm a stranger to this land still, after many years of dwelling on, learning to dwell with the land, the rainbow of soils beneath our feet. Soil that remembers who cut the roots that tied Mother Tree to her young, who choked her seedlings under pavement, who sang songs so people could dance for rain, for sun. I'm still learning how to dwell with cedar here, cousin to grandmother cedar, who took my breath away in Snohomish, where Blue Heron Canoe family taught us bark harvest ceremony, how to make gifts of hearts and roses made of woven strips of cedar's skin. White cedar, cousin to our beloved Cease, indigenous plant diva who made us reciprocity, served to each of us, head bowed, her eyes gazing into each of ours, one at a time. I'm still a stranger in this land, learning to listen to cedar's message, listening for songs she needs to quench her fiery thirst for love, reciprocal love, reciprocating her love for us two-legged beings who have broken our promises to her again and again. I stumble over crooked roots, frozen masses of leafy mud, almost give up, then hear her whispering at the edge of the field. The farm that yields fresh food for so many hungry mouths. I keep walking, and just before I see the red barn, she catches my eye on the side of the path. Red cedar. Tucked between bushes I can't identify by name, a single red cedar spared from the clearing that made this fruitful field. I greet her with a big silly grin like a kid on a scavenger hunt, and my arm reaches up and snaps off a twig before I can check in with my internalized colonizer, before I can ask permission to take, and another, and then I hear, "Slow down, little one. Take my finger, make medicine, and drink, and come back when you can hear my song. Come back with others ready to give their breath away." Sorry. Come back with others ready to give their breath away. When I visit you next, I'll come with others ready to learn, to conspire, to breathe with you. We will ask who cut you from your family, bring you offerings, tobacco and songs, and we will cry in grief and joy for what could be, what we will become when we co-inspire. Okay, sorry, I had printed all these out, but I couldn't find the printout. So the next one I'm going to read is a recent one. I took my first vacation, it feels like almost ever, in July. I went, a friend of mine has a timeshare in Mexico, and I'm just not one for vacations. She's been trying for years to get me to go to this resort in Mexico. So I went, and I had a wonderful time. 2 weeks. My blood pressure went down a lot. And this is one of the experiences at this resort. It's called Resort to Have Recourse. 1 drop 3, a warning, her sisters are coming. In dribbles, then waves, on the wind, by storm, then rainbow at my elbow, a sign, elite members only. A boy sells me an embroidered bag. Smaller girls carry trinkets, trudge through hot afternoon sand, beseeching sunburnt tourists like me. A swarm of pelicans fly and pounce, unconcerned about child labor, the foreignness of tourists, survival economics. One plunges its beak into a wave full of bodies bobbing on the incoming tide, digests its prey to the tune of a mediocre cover of a vaguely familiar pop song. Her large device screen goes black, then lights up under her pointy, polished nails, scrolling, texting, pausing for a wedding video. A gender-ambiguous person walks by, the kind of body targeted by the president who just dropped the largest bombs our tax dollars make on a country he accuses, with no evidence, of making nuclear weapons. A land and people decimated by soulless leaders, engineered starvation, omnicide, while I gaze at the ocean, sip a margarita, and dream of rebuilding after the apocalypse. Okay. I think I'm just going to read one more. I was going to read another Palestine poem, but it's a real downer, so I'm going to just go to Nizar's Phantom Trees. So this is a poem, kind of an ode to a new friend, Nizar, who visited here from Palestine. He was miraculously able to get a tourist visa. He lives in a refugee camp, Dheisheh, in the West Bank. And this is kind of one of my favorite genres, odes to friends or people that I walk with. So, yeah, this has been such a wonderful day, and I feel so honored and blessed to be part of this, this multimedia wonderful experience. So, Nizar's Phantom Trees. We hug each other in baggage claim, strangers, marvel at the tourist visa that grants him respite from the jail of the refugee camp where he was born, where he lived his entire life. Marvel that he can travel the world to India, France, and now the United States, but he cannot travel 11 kilometers from Dheisheh to Jerusalem. He shares the beautiful lands of Palestine with his many followers on social media. Ruin of the bride's Calais an archaeological treasure on the brink of getting lost, he posts. Illegal mining, tampering with heritage, Wadi al-Baida, where pigeons nest in pockets in the stone walls. The stones tell stories of those who made beauty in the lap of the wall, whispering to us, don't forget this land. I ask, would you like to hike the woods of Western Mass? Sure, why not? He blurts like it's one word. We walk through forests and farms, bask in the beauty of waterfalls, the banks of the Quinnipiac River, now lined with shopping malls. He marvels when I pause to hug a tree, documents his visit to demonstrate his reliability as a tourist, here to see the sights, meet new friends, share his stories, not make any trouble. I invite him to a forest bathing workshop at a nearby college campus. The basketball courts near the trailhead prompts a story. He says, my brother plays basketball, but he has a problem with his spine. He shows me a picture, his brother holding a basketball, sitting in a wheelchair. Why he needs this chair is because when my mother was pregnant, she breathed gas sprayed by Israelis. I ask him if he feels comfortable sharing this story with the forest bathing group later. Sure, why not, he says. When I ask him later, he tells the group his brother plays, and he uses a wheelchair. He does not tell about the gas. I don't share because it's his story, and yet not sharing distorts his story. In the few days while I wrestle with this conundrum, hundreds of Palestinians were killed or starved, scores of children maimed or murdered. The last day of his visit, he tells me in his childhood, every family in Dheisheh had 1 or 2 trees, fig or mulberry. Now only a few remain in all of the half a square kilometer camp, where 11,000 people had to cut their beloved trees to build homes. I will ask families for their stories. I will look for photographs of the absent trees. I wonder if the earth remembers the pain of missing trees, the way amputees live with phantom limbs. Shall we see the sights in Boston? Sure, why not? We visit a famous market and museum, hug a London plane tree. He says he'll start a movement, hug trees for peace around the world. Tree huggers unite. The next day, he texts that he's arrived home, got through customs, the checkpoints. No small miracle to be home safe. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jupong. I will share, I know that you do folded paper bird projects, and I was recently with my father at Cooley Dickinson Emergency Room. This was about 3 weeks ago, and I don't know who folded this paper bird, but in his little bay in the emergency room on the back of the stretcher, someone had left a folded paper bird, and I will say it brought peace. So, and he's fine. So next up, we have Carolyn Zaikowski. Carolyn is a widely published fiction writer, essayist, and poet, and is the current poet laureate of Easthampton. You can find out more about her and her upcoming class offerings at carolynzaikowski.com and at carolynzzz@substack.com. I personally can definitely recommend all of Carolyn's course offerings, her Substack. I'm very honored that Carolyn is here. She's made quite a difference in my own writing life. An announcement for the Poet Laureate. Save the date for September 18th from 5 to 7 p.m. for Poetry in the Park at Park Hill Orchard, hosted by Easthampton City Arts and Carolyn as the Poet Laureate. There will be 6 featured readers, an open mic, and the opening of the Poet Tree, an opportunity to contribute to a collective poem for the April Poetry Poster Project. Come early and sign up for an open mic slot. Welcome, Carolyn.
This is going way up. Got a good foot here. Kim and I had never met in person before, so this feels really special. I didn't know our height differential was so significant. It's totally fine. Wow. I'm just looking at everyone. Hi. I was in a basement in a tornado warning for a while today in the dark, and this feels really different from that. It feels like the juxtaposition feels like a metaphor for the cosmos or something. I can't quite figure it out yet. So thank you so much to Kim. It's such a nice honor to be here, and to Jess and everyone else. I'm just going to read a bunch of poems mostly from an unpublished manuscript. I feel the need to dedicate them all to Palestine. May all beings be free from genocide and starvation, and may all beings be liberated. This is called Orphans in the Core. Here's to the people no one's ever heard of, and here's to the people who are plain, who stand at brine's dusk, reflected only by the wet slink of kelp. The vespertine orphans will be rising from the core, with no shell to keep or quit any longer, just that soft and clever float of a one untethered in the eddy. Watch. Tiny womb mouth. Grief, a flame shifting through its sister silence in a field. Grief, a wobbling stone which melts to dirt at last. Grief, the ungrown moss atop earth and cellar doors where as imps we mocked time. Grief, we mocked time and supposed we were straddling it too. Grief, one God's hefty whip. Grief, an inscrutable crab screeches and scrapes through indents and spines. Grief, bodies all afoot, splayed, element-laden, streaked with the pale wine of peasants. Grief, the blue jay and the hen have become hidden blood and tar. Grief, sister sentries cry out for one another. The lighthouses burned themselves down without warning in the night, they cry, without warning in the night. Grief, a tiny womb mouth branded with lighthouse char's hot dust in the night. Grief, one sole tooth and its tongue are mandated to alone eat a cosmos. Grief, a tiny womb mouth is tasked with moaning its tail to a sandcastle which blows to salty pockets where grief and seas once were. Grief, a tiny womb mouth frantically saying itself to Father Night who keeps himself for himself. Grief is she who cannot feed herself, for she is alone. Grief, holy orphan. Grief cannot seek water, for she is single-handed. Grief cannot find her hands. Grief, an unremarkable body whispering the universe to the universe's ear, without faith, without a manual or songbook or time or tether. Grief, untethered womb mouth, the tiny womb mouth of the unbearable body, unbearable, for she is alone. I found myself writing a lot of poems that have flowers in them, so maybe you can pick some of them out as I go along. This is called Passiflora. I find myself wanting to dance in my brain when I read some of these, so if you want to do that too, you can. Never again to my father's house will I go. Here are the bluebells and yarrow instead. Here is the promenade where the red where with red clover wine I dance to the marsh marigold, away from my father's house and the crooks of his house and the cores, margins, and fringes of his house. We dance to the marsh marigold. At the promenade we bow to tender wine-full asters, lifting our cups on the promenade. We dance to the elder sea's clouded sheen, to burdock growing through our promenade's cracks we bow. Never again will burdock grow at my father's house. Never will we dance other than to the promenade's passiflora and its tendrils, trusting our skin as the kindliness of snakes trust skin, as in trust for maps, friends, prayers, as in our dance away from my father's house, its centers and sidelines too, clasping palms and cups, raising them to the sheen of the flocks, unfurling with the promenade's waters lovers, we drink and vow to never again go, to never again to my father's house go. This is called Serfs. My eager little Nova, you'd better clutch my body's kingdom now, my svelte little animal. I've a wily body like you. Such serfs we are in the halls of this kingdom of bodies. My bit lux of a century, I'm a fervent little Nova like you. Please cross the walls with me. My eyes have sharp little bits inside them, metal splinters like. My eyes have inside them bit little winds, palpable, very palpable, the glue undoing itself. My love, my cells are traces. The window in me is ancient now. The world's deep-rooted, the world's outlandish, while on the furious piano I play all scales. Tiny little breaths everywhere, tiny little deaths, tiny little birds born of who knows what, born of someone else's gasps and cells, tiny little deaths, tiny little bones requesting this little bone and its cell mouth to that one, requesting, tie me to that one, tie me, keep me, my love. They're asking, do you hear them? Do you hear? Tiny little deaths, do you hear? My bones so quaint, there, not there, there, not there. My cells, my love, won't you cross the line into cells with me so you can understand? Won't you cross it, my love? My cells are a trial done, a hung jury, a kept ledger. There, not there, there, not there, my love, he crosses bodies like crushed language. My love, he crosses foot over foot, face and foot over face and frond in a planned shape. My love, he plans, face over face and foot, death teeth marching to the backs of their own mouths. Each tooth has a mouth. There, not there, these letters strewn all over. There, not there, nouns made of nothing. Please find all the pieces, my love, the walls. Tiny little feet everywhere, tiny little deaths, tiny cages born of who knows what, someone else's wept sense and reed-like fingers. Tiny little deaths, tiny little bones wanting. This little bone and its wanting mouth. My love, they're wanting, do you hear them? Keep them. Do you hear? Tiny little deaths, my bones, there, not there, my bones, they are vague. And once roads were prepositions, but now bodies don't know where to go, which letter or word to clutch. There are no sentences now. And my eyes have caustic little eyes inside them, caustic ties like little knots inside, a migration of cells, an erosion of eyes. Tie me to my love. He crosses, oh. I look too close in a mirror. Window like glass walls. There, not there. Outside, rocks over time get smaller. My eyes over time get bigger, right from their insides, under every eye a trail. Won't you walk it? He crosses. Under every eye a trace, but nothing is kept except a ledger. Tiny little deaths, tiny little reeds born of who knows what. Tiny little reeds asking. This little reed in its cell mouth moans to that one at dusk. My love, they're asking, do you hear them? Do you hear? My love, he hears. Bodies are ruined language that he crosses. Tiny little bones asking, tiny little bones, death mouths laying crosses over each other's teeth, light as a drink of wine, kept as bones curled to sponges by time.
Locate all the bits, cross the walls, cross with me. There, no, little walls everywhere, little walls. This is called recollect, or if you will, recollect. Seems like the same word to me. Let the jars overflow with amaranth and rose, lupin and caves, blood-turned jade. Let the jars overflow with grains we lost, with batteries hidden under sinks and candles burned wrongly from the base. See again the lilacs that glowed in the fires, you'll find me. The jars, let them overflow. I want to permeate you again. The jars, let them overflow again with columbine and phlox. With orphans, hawks, and twine, file each away by the threshold of the cave. See again the smoke coming from the mountain's hole. I'm there. Let them overflow with stout vines and the weeds and white heather offered to all by orphans. With hot brown tea, milk jugs, and the masks which tore, then cooked in the fires. With the oil and gas that the tornado spread all about you. I want to permeate you again, but you have no bridges in or to you, no eyes in the middle of your eyes to see. You have no eyes at all. The jars, let them overflow with blood-turned flakes, with dark fireflies and failed flesh, with invasive vines of infection, with other jars filled with the poison of gray lung and tarry liver. Let the jars overflow with broken jars and dead frost flowers, then fill them with new frost flowers, and I'll be there. There's nothing in this forest I can't see. Take my eye. Nothing in this fire I can't see. The fire lights itself while it thinks I'm sleeping in the wood. If there lingers even a stray clock, one old grain, a wisp of white heather, a foundling, a fawn's neck, an orphan at a tide, then I'm you. Eyeless storm, the jars. Let them overflow with irises for you, with moons, with orphans turned glow beneath moons, with flocks the height of an earth's ghost, the tremors of dust, the jars. For if there is a moon, I'm there. Right on time at the moon, you'll find me, right on time. At the breadth and the nova, the ocean is always on time. A tremor goes from autumn into dust. This is called what we talk about when we talk about birds. The dying woman and I watched birds out the window, 8 birds together on one cold feeder in March. I've never known the names of birds, I said. The ice is water now, she said, meaning the puddle. I said I'd never understood how birds keep warm in winter. She said she didn't know either, but it went unspoken that we wouldn't dare Google. Then she read me her poem about birds, apologizing the whole time for her breath, interrupting her own cherished lines. Keep going, I said. She said, but you have to remember to keep the feeders full. Okay, I promise, I said. Those feeders there, those ones? Yes, promise. This poem is called Stay, and it's about staying. If you want. Stay with a sigh to see why you must. Stay to bring a wave to shore so your past can break. Stay because I need you to love me more. Stay to complete and heal your habits. Stay to open the gift and quietly unlock the gate. Stay for the empty tar pit and the war on the bridge. Stay to help us. We need you. Stay because it's cold and getting late. Stay to prove you are lost because then I can find you. Stay for everything strange, like crying and staying and eating. Stay to eat at my table and to eat at your own table. Stay for this web and offering. You can't take it with you. Stay for the monster in the field. Stay with a groan for the shadow and its ache. Stay for your memories of trusting a poet. Stay for the silence and despair. Yes, this is my heartfelt invitation. Stay because you're both a bastard and a heavenly messenger. Stay for no discernible reason other than that it's not the same as going. Stay for your sensual suffering, your moldy bread. Stay for your misguided orgasm, your boredom, your pleasure. Stay for your tea and soup, even if lukewarm. Stay for colors and for your favorite song on repeat. Stay for the child on the brink and the woman on the hill. Stay because you're both the island and the ocean. Stay because this moment you're rubbish, but in the next you'll be a genius. Stay because you know it. Stay precisely because you're as mundane as a number. Stay for the fact of clocks and the fact of tides. Stay because this here station needs a guard. Stay because you're going to repeat anyway. Stay for sand, dirt, and ice. Stay for anything. Find something. Hold out your hands. Stay for discussions with animals. Hold out your hands. Stay because you need to help the ghost rise up like a flame. I think I'll read 2 more. This is called Dispatch. It's a dispatch that I received from the cosmos after Trump was elected in 2016. No, don't worry. It's not like that. Dispatch. Eternity gets filtered through a grave, then the ghosts won't challenge us no more. They say we always tried to tell the truth. They say we caught you gently as you sank. They say we held you quietly with love. They say, repeat me, repeat me. Eternity gets filtered through a grain. Now you'll never be alone again. The width of you is to be bravely filled. All it takes is one glimpse of this bowl. All it takes is one glimpse of this stem. This grain, when attended to, creates you, competes you against odds and advice. Eternity gets filtered through an eye. For just one moment, I know you again. Weeping, I shall drench your head in rain. Wash away your death with April floods. Watch your memory rise brave like a flame. Warn you not to drown between your dreams and that proud space of tellings of your dreams. Eternity gets filtered through a dream that knows itself whenever it's alone. I'm your ghost as much as you are mine. We're such real, timeless packets of each other. This fact is as solid as my palm. This fact is as righteous as our dream. Eternity gets filtered through a wave. I'm never going to go downstream again. Time to go haunt history like it haunts you. Time for active loathing of this dust. Time to tame it till it lets you rise. Straight through a lifetime's worth of dust I'll take you, till you and history see each other rightly in the sun. Eternity gets filtered through a well. Watery ghosts of words ring crudely out. At the edge of language and its silent burials, the echoes of a past we tried to tell. Clutch their drops so we don't drown again. Clutch their drops till bodies manifest. Eternity gets filtered through a pyre that lights itself whenever ghosts get old. No, I'm not ever going to starve again. I see your molten life and raise you mine. Now you'll never die in view of birds. Now you'll never die because of men. Eternity gets filtered through a stain. I'm not going to fret about stains no more. In my heart, 100 stains of you repeat. I'll hold them close whenever I'm alone. I'll hold them close whenever I am born. I'm just going to read one more short-ish poem. This is dedicated to animals, all of them, all animals. It's called Beasts. The cats survived, the horses survived, the doves survived, the calves survived. The lions survived, the possums survived, the monkeys survived, the salmon survived. The rats survived, the pigs survived, the snakes survived, the cranes survived. The tigers survived, the whales survived, the geese survived, and the dogs survived. The mussels survived, the elephants survived, the frogs survived, the manatees survived. The deer survived, the apes survived, the foxes survived, the ants survived. The bears survived, the crows survived, the lizards survived, the hens survived. Thank you.
Uh-oh. It's so much easier to lower it. So thank you so much to our 5 incredible poets. My heart is full. Another hand for everybody. Carolyn, Isa, Kathryn, Jupong, Carolyn.
Stood there on that mountain in the pine tree canopy, wandered on the path of the brown